Today, we are diving into a really radical, kind of mind-bending, and believe it or not, an incredibly optimistic philosophy of progress. It comes from the physicist David Deutsch, and it challenges one of the most powerful, deep-seated ideas of our time.
You've probably heard this idea before, right? The notion that we're just chemical scum. It's this powerful, almost poetic way of saying we're cosmically insignificant. It's called the principle of mediocrity, this belief that in the grand scheme of things, we're just nothing special. And it feels humble, it feels scientific, it even feels kind of profound. But what if that feeling of smallness isn't wisdom? What if it's actually a colossal misunderstanding of our place and our power in the entire universe? That is the huge question we're going to tackle. To get there, we first have to really understand the idea we're pushing back against. So let's take a closer look at what we could call the cosmic insignificance myth.
So the principle of mediocrity basically says we're typical. We live on a typical planet, orbiting a typical star, and a totally typical galaxy. From this point of view, any claim that we're significant is just pure arrogance. But as we're about to see, David Deutsch argues this whole way of thinking is completely flawed.
So how do you even begin to counter an idea that big? Well, Deutsch's entire argument really hinges on one single, uniquely human ability, our incredible power to create explanations.
You know, the old view of science was that we just kind of watch nature over and over again, and then we generalize a rule. But Deutsch, who follows the philosopher Karl Popper here, says that's not how it works at all. Knowledge isn't something we just passively absorb, it's something we actively create. We make these bold, creative guesses, he calls them conjectures, and then we use experiments and criticism to throw out the bad ones.
And this really shows the huge difference between simple rules and real powerful knowledge. A rule of thumb, it's like a recipe. It's parochial, meaning it only works in a very specific context. But a good explanation, like the theory of gravity, that has enormous reach. And it's hard to change even a little bit without the whole thing falling apart, which is exactly what makes it so powerful.
And this brings us to this crucial concept of reach. Think of it as a superpower. The very same laws of physics that explain why an apple falls to the ground are the exact same laws we use to send a probe to the edge of our solar system. That's the hidden power of a good explanation. It can solve problems you never even imagined when you first came up with it.
Okay, so if we have this unique power, this ability to create explanations with massive reach, what does that mean for our role in the universe? Well, this is the part of the story where everything gets flipped completely on its head.
We all love the idea of Spaceship Earth, right? This cozy little life support system hurtling through space. But Deutsch calls this metaphor perverse. Why? Because the biosphere isn't designed for our comfort or our safety. In fact, most of the time, it's actively trying to kill us. And then he drops this bombshell. This is one of the most provocative statements in his entire book. Deutsch straight up argues that without our knowledge, the raw, untamed biosphere simply cannot support us.
I mean, how can that be true? Well, think about it. The biosphere is a place of constant struggle. Evolution works through extinction. And here's the kicker. Almost our entire life support system, our farms, our houses, our medicine, it wasn't just provided for us, we built it. We built it by using our knowledge to transform fundamentally useless raw materials into life-saving resources. And this brings us to the ultimate reversal of that chemical scum idea. Because we can create explanatory knowledge, we become what Deutsch calls universal constructors. We don't just move stuff around. We are beings that can transform raw materials into anything the laws of physics allow, just by figuring out the knowledge of how to do it. Now, a power like that changes everything, especially how we should look at the future and all of its challenges. This is the foundation for what Deutsch calls rational optimism.
In this way of thinking, problems aren't a sign that we're doomed. They're a sign that we're making progress. Every single problem is an opportunity, a chance to create new knowledge that makes us even more capable than we were before. Problems aren't the roadblock, they're the fuel.
And this kicks off a virtuous cycle, an engine of progress. We face a problem. That forces us to create new knowledge. That knowledge solves the problem, but in solving it, it almost always reveals a deeper layer of reality, creating new, more interesting problems for us to solve. This is how progress becomes infinite.
As Karl Popper put it so beautifully, the goal isn't to avoid problems, it's to find them, to see their beauty, and to actually fall in love with the process of solving them.
So what does this all add up to? What's our ultimate place in the cosmos? It means we're not at the end of anything. We are standing right at the beginning of infinity.
Deutsch paints this incredible picture for us. The universe isn't empty. It is packed full of matter and energy, but it's all inert, it's dormant. He says it's like a vast explosive, just sitting there, waiting for a spark.
And that spark is knowledge. People, universal constructors, we are that spark. We have the potential to take the inert stuff of the cosmos and just ignite it with understanding, transforming it into something totally new. We are not insignificant scum, we are the universe's catalysts.
So, this leaves us with a really profound and honestly an empowering final thought. If our potential for progress is truly infinite, limited only by the laws of physics themselves, then the only question left is, what problems will we choose to solve next?